The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. It's Down to Business with Jack Miller. Forget what they teach you in school. This is real life, not Wall Street, but Main Street. He and his guests will answer your questions and provide you with valuable information. Stay tuned and join in the conversation. Follow them on Facebook at Jack Miller Down to Business or on Twitter at HJackMiller1.
Hey, everyone, this is Jack Miller with my main man, Todd Cohen. Todd, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jack. How are you?
Todd, I'm always doing good because you are doing good and you have that, like, natural good vibe. Do you ever around some people when they have, like, a bad vibe, it rubs off on you?
It definitely does. And actually, if you ever go to a live performance, whether it's theater or a concert, I mean, the energy is palpable. And stage performers or musicians will tell you that they feed off of the energy in the audience. So I think that's a real thing.
My wife really doesn't let me out of the house much, so I don't experience live human contact, and I try to keep it to a minimum. This is about as, you and me in a room once in a while, that's about as live as I get. No, I'm joking.
I feel privileged. I'm honored.
I'm joking around. Anyway, I'm excited.
No, I'm excited. Two Philly boys interviewing a guy named Rocky. What are the odds?
I didn't think about that, but you're right. Anyway, we have a great guest today, and I think I'm excited about this guest. Beside the fact that he's, I guess, sort of in the mortgage business, which I'm in the mortgage business, Rocky has crossed, I think, and I'm going to bring him on in a minute, has crossed over marketing, mortgage, internet, and I think people like him and his company are the wave of the future. And with that, let me bring him on. Rocky, are you with us?
I am.
Hey,
Thank you
Rocky.
for having me.
Oh, I appreciate it. Again, I don't know if you heard my intro, but I'm really excited because I've been in the mortgage business for, believe it or not, like 35 years already, and it's changed so much of the years. And the company that you founded, PrivateLenderLinks.com, I think companies like that are the wave of the future. So with that, Rocky, let me give an introduction to set the stage for the audience and jump in if I get any of this wrong. Rocky founded a company which I'll call a platform where borrowers can go to, put in what information they want. Let's say they're in Kansas or Chicago, and find a lender. And I think you focus on just hard money, but either way, a lender that is lending in their area. Is that correct, Rocky?
Yes, that's correct. Except they don't put in any information, except they just see a list of lenders. But you got the idea.
So you're saving. If I'm a consumer looking for a loan, you're saving them the time and trouble of doing all these web searches, and you're aggregating and providing them a top list of 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever lenders that they may be looking for.
That's correct. And the private money, hard money lending space is very small, and there's not that many lenders. It's not like the consumer world where you've got tons of banks and mortgage companies out there. So it's very limited, and there's not a lot of good resources to find these private lending companies.
So how did you come up with this idea? And give us a little bit of your background and the background. Tell the people watching this about your site. And then I want to talk about, I want to clear the air. What is hard money lending? A lot of it has in some areas a bad mystique. People think, oh, if I go to a hard money lender, that there's something the matter with me. I have bad credit, and I'm we do hard money lending. So I want to clear that air. But first, maybe tell people a little bit about your background and about your business, and then we'll just jump right in.
Sure, that sounds good. So I first learned about private money and hard money in 2009. And at the time, I ran a marketing company where I would help commercial property owners put their properties online to sell or lease. It was essentially a for sale by owner type service. And it wasn't quite working out, so I was looking for something else to get into. And I just read a magazine article about bridge loans or private money, and I had no idea what it was, never heard of it. So I did some research, and I thought it was an interesting concept, and I knew at the time there was a big demand for that, since a lot of the traditional lenders were not lending. So I did some research, and I found that there was no good resources to find these lenders, and so that's how I came up with the idea. I tested it out with a few lenders, just called them up and said, hey, that's what I'm trying to do. Would you be interested in participating? And they all said yes, and that's how I started it. And the first version of the site was built in 2010, and it's been growing pretty steadily ever since.
So just to clear the air, what is hard money lending and private money lending?
So the two terms are almost the same, or essentially the same, but it's really an investment property loan that someone would go to when a bank wouldn't be able to fund it. They'd go to a private money, hard money lender and get the deal done fast. And it's really a short-term bridge loan. So it's either for purchasing a property or refinancing or building a property. So it's all secured by real estate, and they're all typically short-term loans.
So I would add one, just clarify slightly. And again, my company, I got to get a what's it called? Shameless plug. Yeah, self-promotion, shameless plug here. Gelt Financial has been in business since 1989. Before the internet, we happen to be on Rocky's site, and we love it. But I would also add a couple misconceptions about hard money lending that people find. I find that people come to us, they need the money quick. They're either making money or saving money by taking our loan. A lot of them can go to a bank, but they maybe don't want to go through all the bank rigmarole and, 10, 12-week process of yes, no, loan committee, this and that. So they'll come to a private, I hate to use the word hard money because everyone thinks it's bad. I call it a non-bank lender, because it's worth it for them to pay a slight premium to a bank to surety of execution.
Sure.
So I know our company, we get a lot of deals that the people are very qualified to go to a bank, but they need the money quick, and they don't want to go through all those problems.
That's right.
Correct. And most transactions are done just because of the timing and the speed. And most private money or hard money lenders can close a deal within a week if needed, sometimes within a few days. So that is the primary reason that people use it. And like you said, it's there's less paperwork, there's less requirements. It just requires some equity and some creativity, and a private lender can make a deal happen much more efficiently than a bank could.
One of the misconceptions I want to talk to you about or ask you if you run into, a lot of times people think private money or hard money are unscrupulous lenders. I hate to use the word Tony Soprano type, but they think they're just some thug on the street. And the reality is most of the hard money lenders that I know, and most of them that are listed on your site, are institutional, they're companies. They're real players. They're not just some guy who's going to go knock on their door and collect the money.
That's correct. And there are there are individual lenders that I've heard of that are sort of like what you described. But yes, the majority there's so many private lending companies out there. They're small firms. They're typically between 2 and 10, maybe up to 20 people. But it is a very professional business. And while there are some real estate investors who like lending or who like borrowing from an individual investor, there's a much more professional side to the business that they can find on Private Lender Link and other websites.
Do you screen out lenders to make sure that they're legitimate and real lenders and not scam artists? Because you read once in a while about scam artists, and we run into it all the time. Who say, "Oh, I'll approve your loan at a crazy low rate. Pay me $5 or $10 grand up front," and and they never hear from them again.
Yeah, I do my best. So there's only so much I could do as far as screening out lenders. But I will make an effort. I'll check their licensing. I'll check some of their history as far as transactions. Look at their social reputation and see if there's anything negative out there. And then I just try it out. And if I hear any negative feedback from people on the site about a lender, then they're gone. I just boot them off the site. So as far as those upfront fees, if there are any lenders that charge upfront fees, they have to disclose it on their profile on privatelenderlink.com. So I do my best to vet them out as much as I can.
That's a good prelude to my question, which is. Yeah. Is what you're doing sort of cannibalizing the mortgage broker industry, at least when it comes to bridge loans and hard money loans? And do you work with mortgage brokers at all, or how does that sort of fit into what you're doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Mortgage brokers are always on our site. They love the site because it's a good resource that they can keep going back to find lenders for the deals that they're working on. So I don't think it cannibalizes their business. In fact, it helps them because they also need a good resource to find these private lending companies for all the different deals they're working on throughout the country.
Todd, as an idea, we get leads from Rocky, and a lot of them are mortgage brokers who find us, even though we've been in business for almost 30 years. They find us through Rocky's site.
I believe it.
So they're out there scrounging the internet looking for legitimate lenders, and I don't know the number, but a good amount of them come from your site.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And the majority of our site visitors are the real estate investor, the direct borrower, but it's more in the commercial side of the business that you'll find that the majority of the inquiries are from mortgage brokers.
Do you get referrals from traditional lenders who, like, say, get the pressure put on them by clients who found a deal, and there's pressure to sort of close quicker than a traditional lender might be able to, and so the traditional lender says to them, look, I mean, we can't close in that time frame, but I don't want you to lose the deal. We'd love to do the takeout financing. We know these guys over here. Rocky's a great guy. He can get you set up with something short term that we could take out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's private lenders that I know of that have relationships with bankers, but a lot of times there's not a fit. So they do need a resource to go out and find a lender that can close their deal. So yes, I do have some contacts with bankers that will refer a borrower to the website, or they refer them to me personally, and I'll just get a few basic details about their deal and make some recommendations. But I'd really essentially just send them to the website where they can connect with a lender directly.
Another misconception I just want to clear up is that a lot of people think that private lenders or hard money lenders are expensive. And I always tell people it all depends how you look at it. And here's the example I give. I said, suppose you're at Thanksgiving dinner with your brother-in-law, and your brother-in-law's a doctor, makes a ton of money, or he's a plumber, makes even more money, but doesn't know anything about real estate. And you work a deal with him over Thanksgiving dinner that he puts all the money up, you do all the work, and you split the profits 50-50. And a lot of times I say, you compare that deal to going to a legitimate private lender who's probably going to be high single digits, low double digits. I said, and inevitably, going to debt to a company like myself or companies listed is inevitably cheaper than going in partners and giving away 50% of the profit.
Right.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of real estate investors that say, well, I don't want to put up some of my own money, so I'd rather give some equity to someone who's going to put up all the money. But you're right, in the end, they'll realize that they'll make more of a profit if they do put in a little bit of their own money and get the rest from a hard money or private money lender, and it'll just increase their profits.
Again, I feel bad pitching, but one of the things we do, I can't help myself. I have 3 kids and a wife and a dog. Everyone has to eat off me.
That's right.
But one of the things we do at Gelf Financial, I think a lot of people do it, is we don't necessarily look for people to come in with cash, but if they have other collateral, we accept that. So give you an example, we recently closed a deal happened to be Nashville, Tennessee. We lent the borrower 100%. He bought a small strip center, 100% of the purchase price and the closing costs, but we took a second on another piece of property he had. So he got into the deal with no money at all. So he was thrilled. So, we're able to get, and I think a lot of private lenders have the ability to be creative and do those situations and get into deals accommodating the borrower's needs, but still giving them the protection they need.
You mentioned the cost, which can be obviously more than a traditional lender would charge, but there's also something called an opportunity cost. And in today's competitive environment, I mentioned this before, but a lot of buyers and investors, have a fear of missing out on a deal, and they need to compress those time frames in order to get the deal and win the deal. And if you have a situation where you need to move those time frames in and really compress them, this is a great avenue in order to do that. You get your financing lined up real quick, you can execute, and then you can get takeout financing if necessary, or line up your investors to come in and take out with equity. But it really can allow an investor or a buyer to be nimble in today's marketplace.
That's right, and most banks need about 30 to 45 days to close a deal, and if it's an acquisition of a property, most sellers are not willing to wait that long. So you're right, it's absolutely an opportunity cost, and that's why most people that are active real estate investors will use private lending as an essential part of their business.
Right.
Rocky, we only have a few minutes left. I could go on forever because this is my topic, as you know.
Me too.
I know.
Too.
And I really appreciate you being on the show. What didn't we cover that you want people who are looking for private lending to know? And plug your site. What didn't we cover, and what do you want to cover?
I have a quick question.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
Todd.
I don't want to interrupt, but
Interrupt. It's us.
Yeah.
is your technology on your platform, is that proprietary, or how did you go about doing that? I know we're in like a tech sort of generation, and maybe there's some people out there that are listening want to know a little bit about how you sort of put that together.
Sure, it's not proprietary at all. In fact, it's a WordPress website. There's a lot of complexities to it and a lot of customizations that I couldn't do myself. The first two versions of the site I built myself, and it wasn't very sophisticated, but I hired an agency out of Canada to rebuild the site about a year ago, and it is very complex in the customizations, but it is just a WordPress website. So there is no proprietary software or anything to the platform. It's really more of an open directory. I like to call it a marketplace or a platform, but it's a wide open directory. It's not like where there's some websites out there where you're forced to fill out a form with all of your deal information and your contact information, and that gets blasted out to multiple lenders, sort of like the lending tree model. But I really built it as an open directory where anyone can access it. There's no registration required. There's no fee to pay. You just do a quick search and you see lenders, and then the visitor of the website has full control over who they contact. They have to look at every lender's profile, look at their detailed lending guidelines, and decide who they want to contact, and they can contact as many lenders as they'd like.
Got it.
So everyone should go to lenderlink.com.
Private Lender Link.
I'm sorry, privatelenderlink.com. I apologize.
Yeah, that's okay.
They have a Facebook page, Private Lender Link, a Twitter, Private Lender Link LK, YouTube channel. Hopefully this will be on there, a LinkedIn page, and you can call Rocky, because I have to tell you that Rocky is, I know this personally, he's hands-on, because I get calls from people who say, hey, Rocky told me to call you. So this isn't some guy, Todd, who hides behind a website, because he's talking to people, because I talk to those same people.
I believe it.
It's the truth. I know he works hard, because I speak to him. Rocky, I thank you for being on the show. Again, everyone go to privatelenderlink.com. Under Rocky's name on the show, his Twitter and all his information. Rocky, thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and I love talking about this. We'll have you on again.
Thanks,
All right,
Rocky.
thank you, guys.
Big guy. Take care.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Todd, I could go on forever. I'm so boring. I find private lending and hard money lending and subprime lending and all this nonsense interesting. And believe it or not, I've done this my whole life, and we've never done a show on it.
This actually is your milieu. And I mean, it's right in your...
It's my what? What's milieu?
It's right in your wheelhouse. I mean, this
What's
is
that word?
It jazzes you. Milieu. It's from the French. It's
I never heard that
it's
word.
What you do.
I do get excited about it. I really do. And I could go on forever on it because it's exciting to me.
That's okay.
I know. We find different things exciting. Okay, we got to go. We will see you another time. We're back with another good show. Thank you very much. Like us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the other stuff. Todd, you're my man. Talk to you later, buddy. Everyone else, we'll see you later. Thank you.
Here we go. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
When